If you've ever watched any of those National Geographic films, what you see are the lions kind of hiding in the grass, or maybe it's the hyena hiding in the grass, and they're waiting for the herd of gazelle to go by. But they're looking for one very specific thing in that herd of gazelle, or maybe it's wildebeest, but they're looking for something very specific. Almost like they want only this certain thing off the menu. What do you think that is they're looking for?
Welcome to Leading Leaders Podcast. 5-minute videos, 5 days a week.
I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and I can tell you what they're looking for. They're looking for the slowest one. They're looking for the weakest one. They're looking for the one who won't put up much of a fight. They're looking for, as some might call it in leadership, a window of opportunity. They're looking for someone who's disadvantaged. They're looking for the opportunity to prevail without much effort. See, you probably know people like that. I know people like that. From a leadership standpoint, they look for everyone's weakness. And they call it the art of the deal, or the negotiation, or the opportunity to win every time. And obviously it's there. There are a lot of people who come through life disadvantaged. Maybe they didn't grow up with the kind of wealth in their home that they would have liked, or maybe they didn't have the education, or maybe they just didn't have the opportunity because they lived on the wrong side of town. They didn't even know the opportunity existed. See, there are leaders who will capitalize on that. They'll take advantage of that. They look for every chink in the armor, every failed opportunity in the past, every mistake that an individual has ever made, every emotional, moral, mental, educational weakness, every financial weakness, and they pounce. And they snatch away every opportunity this other person may have had. And those kind of leaders, in my experience, in my observation, are, well, they're immature leaders. They're selfish leaders. They're the kind of people who feel like, I've gained an advantage by your weakness, and I'm going to take advantage of that weakness. Maybe it's the guy who goes around buying up everybody's house when it's in the border of foreclosure. Now, I do know some people who are in the business of flipping houses, and for the most part, they're not predators. They look for opportunities for someone who says, I'm about to lose everything. And it's not just, well, let's wait till it goes in foreclosure and buy it on the tax block, which many people do. That's the only way that they pursue. But they look for someone who's about to lose their home and say, listen, I can at least give you something for the equity that you have in it. You're not going to make a lot of money. You're probably not going to profit like you would if you sold at the top of the cycle, but at least you don't lose your home and your credit and your cash flow, right? So there are opportunities to do something for someone who's in a disadvantaged position, to do something to help someone who's in a disadvantaged position. And I find those to be greater leaders than those who just pounce, who capitalize, who take advantage of. Well, let me ask you the question. Are you the kind of leader who can only find an advantage in someone else's weakness? Are you the kind of leader who can only win if someone else loses? Have you not found a way to be a great leader, to influence others, to save others, to help bail them out, if you will? And I don't mean give until you got nothing less. I mean, step up beside them and show them where their weaknesses are. Step up beside them and lead them to a greater position in life. Step up beside them and help them find an education. When you see those young people in the inner city that are struggling because they can't read or they don't understand basic finance, how do you help them go to the next level? I was just visiting with a friend for the Leading Leaders Servant Leader series, and he was talking about a group he's working with who just got back from Africa. And part of their push for 2020 is just basic financial literacy. How do you manage a checkbook? How do you stay out of debt? How do you earn more money? How do you create more cash flow? How do you create margins? How do you create savings? What decisions do you make with your money? See, you can take advantage of people like that. You can take advantage of people who are always a little bit behind the 8 ball, or you can help them. I find that selfish leaders pounce like a predator. They look for the weak moment. They look for the failure. They look for the opportunity to take advantage of somebody else. Rather than finding the injustices, finding where they've been left behind, finding where they've been overlooked, and finding a way to step into that gap, to bring them up to a level playing field, to give them opportunity rather than taking advantage of them and making an opportunity of it. I want to challenge you as a leader. Are you a selfish leader looking for every opportunity to capitalize on somebody else's weakness, failure, or being left behind? Or are you a great leader who steps into the moment when other people are struggling and says, I have a way that I can help you. And for both of us, it will be a win-win. Not a win at all costs. Not I'm going to take you out so I look good and add value to me, but I'm going to add value to you and we'll all win in the end. Selfish leaders win at all costs. They take advantage of the weak. They create injustice. Great leaders step up beside those who are a little bit disadvantaged and help them find justice and help them find the win-win. I challenge you to be a great leader. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.